Hey,
It's upside down.
I know.
Dude,
I
turn your
know.
camera around.
When well, see, the thing is, I can, but then it like gets all awkward when I'm using OBS. I just have a scene that's where I flipped it, so I don't have to. I just
Okay.
rotated it
Yes,
180.
science.
That's right, man. I've been doing this. I've been doing this. So OBS Stream Deck slash ATEM mini thing.
Uh-huh.
And it would be easier if I just had the ATEM and I used cam links.
Uh-huh.
But if I use the Stream Deck and the cam links.
You only need one cam link to go out of the ATEM.
Well, the thing is, I don't need any cam links to go out of the ATEM because I can just use the USB. But
Yeah, but mine doesn't sync properly for some reason with audio, which is really weird.
well, mine doesn't either. When I record, I have to basically I bring the footage in, I separate the audio, I go shift caret, and then I put the audio back together. It's like a couple of frames off.
We should have coordinated our shirts tonight because I have the same shirt.
This is my second shirt of the day, man.
Stay on target. Hey, you know what I'm wearing? You can't.
Oh, nice.
This is one from our friend Jomo.
Yeah. I was wearing it. I was wearing a new T-shirt yesterday that says "I would prefer not to."
I would.
It's a literary reference.
Okay. Oh, that's the picture you posted. Like, yeah.
Yeah. So it's from a short story called Bartleby the Scrivener.
Okay.
And Bartleby, so back in the days before typewriters and stuff, they had to have people who would like write things, right?
Back in the day, yeah.
So they were called scriveners, right? So Herman Melville wrote this story, and it's about this guy Bartleby. He lives in New York City. He doesn't, he's kind of a misanthrope or whatever. He decides that he's just, he's like, I don't want to work anymore, right? So he keeps coming to work.
Okay.
And then he just sits there.
Yeah.
Right. And whenever they ask him if he wants to do any work, if he'll do anything, he just would say, "I would prefer not to." And he keeps coming, and they like it takes them forever to figure out how to get rid of him.
Would you prefer not to grow your beard out?
Well, at this point I don't really have much of a choice. Well, I almost killed myself yesterday. I almost died.
What now? Was it another case of getting a box from the front door?
No. So we have it must be over 10 years old, this gas grill that we have, right?
Oh my God.
And
yeah, I saw you tweet about this. Yeah, okay.
So I replaced the self-lighting thing once, and then it's stopped working again. So now we only use it like a few times a year. I'm the only one in the house that eats meat, so we only use it a few times a year.
Yeah.
And in order to light it, I have to lift up the grates and like turn on the burners, lift up the grates, and then take one of those long kitchen lighters and light it.
Yeah.
But if I don't get it right away after I turn on the gas, then the gas kind of builds up.
There's a time limit.
There is, because the gas will be coming out. And if I don't light it right away, then there's like a bunch of gas there and it goes poof, right? And so yesterday, literally, like all the hair on my lower arms and like my beard and like this part of my hair were all like singed. I was combing like little balls of burnt hair out of my face all night. It was very, very frightening.
So you could say tonight's stream is going to be a hot one.
It is. Yeah. It's going to be very hot. It's going to be very hot.
That was a sick burn.
It was. Oh boy.
I stole those from Twitter. I know. Hey, good evening, everybody. How you guys all doing?
Yeah, we've got Ace here, Draftsman's here, Mikhail, Tech Fury Needs, of course, Osiris Genosis, Chris M. Capono's going to buy a new phone, a giveaway phone for 200,000 subs. That's what he said. He said giveaway phone at 200,000 subs. I assume that means he's going to buy it.
Oh, good for him.
Right, and then I'll give it away.
Zeppelin 3Ds here.
Yes, Turbo Ninja Sticks. Turbo Ninja. Where's the Last of Us guy? Last of Us guy.
We have a Last of Us guy.
The one that has the joke. It's the joke about Joel's head and like a 9-iron or something. So you have to have played Last of Us to know what it's.
I got 20 minutes into it. I'm like, this is dumb. I got not the story. I mean, the story seems cool, but just the gameplay. I'm like, this is frustrating.
Yeah. I play games like that on easy.
Well, this was easy.
Oh! I forgot you're not really like much of a gamer per se.
Well, no, that's not fair because I like playing like Hitman. I've been playing Predator War. I've been playing Predator Battlegrounds, whatever the heck it's called. I play Fortnite like every night.
Yeah. So you're a casual. I get it.
Oh wow, dude! Wow, I used to lead one of the top 10-man guilds back in the day. Not Burning Crusades Day. What was after Burning Crusades? Wrath of the Lich King.
I knew we were WoW was about to come.
Yep.
It was about to happen. We were about to get some WoW discussion.
I haven't touched World of Warcraft since Cataclysm. I'm like, what was the one after Pandaria? I'm like, this is dumb, and I haven't touched it since. And I went back the other day. I started getting some emails from them saying, "Come back for 7 days." And I'm looking and going, "No, I'm like 3 expansions behind. Like, forget about it."
Well, they started it all over on a vanilla Warcraft.
After years of people screaming for it, they finally let in.
Yeah. So I was tempted by that, to tell you the truth.
Well, those are the like I remember being like teased by it because my roommate at the time when I was single, he used to do like these 40-man raids, and I would sit behind him watching while he was playing on this big monitor and like going after like is it Ragnaros? Ragnaros? No, not Ragnarok. Anyway, he's got the hammer thing. He's a big fiery guy. Though that's wild, man. Watching 40 people do that, and then they dumbed it down to like 10 and 25 man. 40 people coordinate. That's crazy.
Yeah, my favorite gaming quote of all time, which I live by, is came from a World of Warcraft raid.
At least I have chicken.
Leroy Jenkins.
Have you seen the Anixia wipe sequence video? It's like one of the oldest YouTube videos ever. It's like, no. More dots. Okay, stop dots. Watch for the tail. Oh, dude, it's so... I howl. If you play World, it's a classic. Everybody, if you play World, you guys know what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's awesome. It's someone took the audio from this guild master leader, whatever the heck you want to call him, raid leader, and put all this crazy animation and like Justin Timberlake, and it's so funny. It's so funny the way the guy freaks out. The Anixia wipe video, it's a classic. It's it's right up there with Leroy Jenkins, right up there.
Yeah, I'll look for that.
No, you won't. We're 15 minutes in. What are we going to talk about tonight?
I don't know. We're going to talk about iPhone 13.
Is the hype still going, or is it over?
I don't know, man. I don't know. You know what the iPhone 13 made me do? Although I've been playing with it, the camera stuff, cinematic mode is cool.
Yeah, our friend Viper put a video on from Vid Summit, and it's such a great example of how it works. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna talk while I look it up, and it shows it's like Viper's holding the camera, but you got El Jefe and you got Travis MCP, and they both do the head turn thing at the same time, the opposite directions, and the cinematic just clicks, and it's just it's like a 10-second long video. It's brilliant. It's really well done.
Yeah, it's It is very impressive.
So you're liking it?
Here's the thing.
Uh-oh.
I mean, do I like it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do I like my iPhone 12 Pro Max? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Other than being a fresh new iPhone. There's like it
feels
fine.
The same.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's absolutely fine. And the 120 hertz, like I'm sorry. I can't see it.
I saw an interesting conversation. I think I CC'd you on it, a reply, because Max Balzner was going nuts about it. We love Max. And then Renee Ritchie jumped in. and then someone came in, describing how it works, and then I saw a couple articles saying not every app can take advantage of it, unlike Android's version, because it's a variable, because it can go between 10 and 120, right?
Well, but see, like the Fold 3
Uh-huh.
also does variable adaptive, they call it.
But it's not the same as Android's, right?
Uh, I don't know.
Let me
I don't
show you.
know.
Let's
Well,
show
I
the
mean,
people.
it's built on Android, so
Let's show the people this. I shared my screen. So this is from Viper. I hope this shows properly. This is from.
let me let me.
Can you big in me? All
There
right.
we go.
So we got El Jefe on the left and Travis MCP on the right. And yeah, Travis is a tall.
Can you full screen that?
Um, I can't go any bigger without being able to see. Actually, tell me if this works. Does that work?
Yep.
Okay, watch this. I don't know if you guys can hear the audio or not, but and it's Twitter quality, so it's not. But just watch the focus. Hopefully, watch. Okay, here comes. Watch. Okay, watch this. And
That's pretty good.
I thought that was a perfect. I thought that was a perfect demo. And then our friend Trent's
Yep.
Tech Rant.
Rant.
He did a really cool, just a simple video. Oh, did I lose you? Are you still moving? Can you move?
I'm here.
Okay. You're not moving on the screen. I don't know why. He did
I'm moving on my screen.
Weird. Okay. I'll refresh mine. He did a really cool thing where just chasing around his son in the backyard.
Yeah.
And I thought that was brilliant. Like, it's just, I think that's what, I mean, obviously Apple shows these examples of like making a movie and everything like that and scenes and everything like that. But I think the real application could be really cool home videos like that. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing. I think it was Brian Tong's video where he was saying that, eventually there'll be people who have never had a phone that doesn't have this, and they'll be like, "How did you ever live with that?" with that everything in focus video.
I was showing my son pictures of me back in like junior high with like the camera on the shoulder. Like it used to use like the full size cassettes, and he's like, "What? How did you carry that around?" I'm like, "Very carefully."
Yeah. I never had like a giant like boombox.
Yeah.
I remember one of the first things that I got to play music from was a single speaker like mini boombox that had radio and 8-track.
Mm-hmm.
And so 8-track like slotted into the side.
Yeah.
And so that dates me even further. I mean, so let me be clear. Like Mikhail says that he can see the promotion. Like I can see it, sure, but like it's not that big a difference to me. It does. I mean, iPhones like iOS has always been super smooth to begin with, so you know what I'm saying.
Is it more noticeable for you on an Android?
I don't know. Let me look at my. See, it's something about the way the animations work too. So Android.
Sorry, go ahead.
The Android animations, like watch how they see. They kind of like have their own momentum. Like you swipe them, but then they speed up and slow down.
Yeah.
Right. But if you do iOS, it's more like just by the speed of your finger, right?
Yeah.
So iOS is more lifelike, whereas Android looks more like it has its own momentum to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that might be why it looks different. I mean, from looking at the two, like, yeah, no, I mean, and let me get my 12 Pro Max out of here.
Oh, you still have a 12 Pro Max?
Yeah. So, all right. So, no, I mean, honestly, I'm looking. I'm scrolling like the little widget bar that's on the side, like all the way to the left.
Yep.
I can't see any difference between the 12 Pro Max and the 13.
Very interesting. I guess it depends on the
Maybe. I mean, it's a little bit more blurry. Yeah, it's more blurry for sure.
on the iPhone.
On the 12 Pro Max,
Mm.
when you look at the text as it goes by.
Well, yeah, because it's 60 hertz, but it's also smooth as well, in my opinion, than most 60 hertz because of the way Apple does their animations, right? So
Yeah. So I think that's the first time, like looking at text is the first time that I've really been able to say, oh, now I see the difference. Because if you just look at the screen and you're not trying to focus on anything, I think the animations are pretty close to equally as smooth, but the text is definitely much more blurry
so you
on
got
the
to
60
wonder
hertz screen.
if Apple for next generation for iPhone 14, if they're going to tweak and make it more like Androids or listen to more feedback from their Apple users or maybe something in between. Do you know what I mean?
See, the thing is with Android, because of the nature of Android, you can, like, I haven't changed the animation speed on my Fold yet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because the animation speed is set at, once you get into developer options, it's set at 1.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want it to look a little bit snappier, then you put it at 0.5.
Yep.
And so you can't do that with Apple. And Apple's animations, like the sort of the show and hide and all that different stuff of Apple's animations, are definitely like much more deliberate. You know, you can see them move it, like the movement is purposeful, whereas on Android it's kind of like faster, slower. It doesn't make that much of a difference. It's, you know what I mean?
Yep.
It looks better when it's faster. Whereas like you don't have the option to make Apple like that.
This is gonna sound weird. Like I don't do any gaming on my phone, and I've tested gaming here and there. I'm just not into gaming on my phone, right? But ever since, okay, so I have the S21 Plus. It's always been at 120 hertz. The devices I've had this before with high refresh. I've always done it. Um, I'm happy to say that I still get all day and a little bit with this and everything like that. But I've actually started using some apps that require lots of scrolling more, specifically Instagram. And I've actually seen a trade-off of my Instagram growing more because I'm scrolling more, I'm interacting more. So the more you interact, the more you post, right? Which I think is kind of a cool trade-off because before I like going through Instagram because I like looking at nice photos, right? And be clear,
Right.
I like Instagram mostly for photos. I also like how they're really pushing reels. Beautiful views. But hold on.
I've got an issue. I've got an issue with Reels that I'll get into
Do
here
you?
in a
Reels
second.
is Reels is such a cheat code because they're pushing it so much right now. But like I found myself like I never liked scrolling so much, but now at night, you know, whenever in the evening, whatever, cool and everything like that. Like it's a lot of fun to do. What's your issue with Reels?
Uh, Reels, like this is where you see the difference between the algorithm of Instagram and the algorithm of TikTok.
Uh-huh.
TikTok is so good at putting stuff in front of my eyeballs that I want to watch, and it's not all the same thing. But
Bugs Bunny.
if I scroll Reels for more than 10 minutes,
Yeah.
I just keep seeing the same thing over
I
and
will
over
admit
after a
that.
while.
I will admit that I can't do Reels nearly as long as I can do TikTok. TikTok, I'm doing next thing I know. Oh, it's been 3.5 hours. I
Yeah,
better
I
go do
mean,
something with my life.
it's very bizarre. Like
Yeah.
I've got people. I don't follow very many people on TikTok. I've got,
Mm-hmm.
and I just found a few people that I wanted to follow, like when I first got there, and I've just
Mm-hmm.
been following them. Call me Chris. She's amazing. She's Canadian.
Yeehaw. Yep.
I just saw that Linus is doing a collab with her on a gaming setup.
Yep. Yep.
So good for him. But anyway, Reels always shows me like lowest common denominator kind of stuff.
Yeah,
You know?
like for me, for Reels, I get fed a lot of like mountain hiking, Switzerland, Banff Western
Right.
Canada type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But then if I go purposely look for like a tech reel, like something in our niche,
Right.
then I just get fed that constantly until I go purposely look for something. It's not like TikTok where, here's a little bit of this, here's a little bit of that. Oh, surprise! Here's a little bit of this, here's a little bit of that, here's a little bit of the, you know what I mean? Right?
Right. Right.
TikTok's algorithm is just so damn good.
So Khalil, thank you for the $4.99 super chat. Super chats are open, everybody.
Yeah, huh?
If you have a burning question, probably the easiest way for us to see it, because we got 111 souls
Wow.
on board right now. So Khalil asks, loving the 13 Pro Max, but I'm confused how it can be the same screen size if the notch is smaller. Is my brain not doing math correctly? Yes, your brain is not doing math correctly.
Wow.
Here's what happened.
Okay.
And I'll try and illustrate as best I can. So
Okay.
this is the 13, right?
Mm-hmm.
The earpiece is up here between the frame and the screen, right? There's just a little tiny cutout. Here is the 12 Pro Max, and it's right here. So it's about a third of an inch down and about twice the size in terms of like width, right?
Mm-hmm.
It looks like maybe they're about the same size because the one on the 13 is wider, but they took it out of the notch, right? So it's no longer taking up real estate in the notch, and therefore they were able to pull some of the camera elements that need to be there for Face ID into. I think if I understand correctly, they were able to pull them in more tightly, and that's why the notch can be smaller. But I still say, and maybe it's because I use darker wallpapers. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm always in dark mode to begin with. I have not noticed, not noticed at all, the smaller notch whatsoever. Yeah, I mean,
Well,
this
because
is
it's
what
like
my phone looks like all the time.
it's kind of flush with where I don't want to
And
say
it's yeah,
notifications are like Android, but like where you've got like your Wi-Fi and your reception,
yeah.
right?
And
So
I cannot believe how much people are bitching about the fact that the battery percentage is not in like where the notch is. It's like
well,
crime.
you can't see it.
No, they have the battery and not the percentage beside it, right?
Oh, okay.
So
So yeah. You still
so
have to swipe down.
you
Yeah,
see the battery
yeah.
and it doesn't say the percentage.
Where's my iPhone?
You swipe down and you get the percentage, right? It's in the whatever they call this, the little settings thing.
Mm-hmm.
that thing. So
Yeah,
I
like so.
actually I actually like not being able to see the percentage because the percentage often triggers me.
Someone wants
And
to. You don't like the percentage? Like what? It gives you like anxiety?
yeah, like okay, so here's like the lock screen or the this is my fold, right?
Uh
And it
huh.
says there 44%. And I'm like, "Oh geez.
Okay.
That's that now I'm thinking 44%. I'm not thinking like close to halfway because that's what it looks like, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking 44%, which is 24% away from 20%, which is where I tend to want to charge my phone.
Okay.
So I can't believe that people are bitching about that. I mean, my God, you could hide a gold bar inside an iPhone, and like somebody would find it and be like, they fucking put it inside. Why'd they put a gold bar inside the iPhone? I don't.
Here, I don't
What is
understand.
wrong with people?
I don't understand why it. Okay. Walled garden, blah blah blah. But of course, we've seen Apple over the years. Now they've added widgets. Now you can have a widget on your screen that shows your battery percentage. Da,
And
da, da.
I gotta say,
Mm.
I like the Apple widgets much better.
Oh, I like them too. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they're more interactive. They're contextual. That like it'll show you different things at different times of the day. Like so I like the Apple widgets better. The Android widgets are dumb. They're just
Well, I mean,
dumb.
they're custom for every depending on what it is. Like, I mean, like for example, Samsung has their own design, and then, of course, if you
But like,
download Spotify, they have their own.
look at this.
All right.
I mean, that looks like some kid's bedroom floor. It's ugly as shit.
I'm picky with my widgets on my Android. So, like on my main screen, I've got nothing but a couple folders, and then when I move over, I've got my inbox, I've got my crypto, and then I've got my. Let me see if there's anything. I've got my calendar right here. Okay, that's it.
So
All right.
here's the thing with widgets for me. Like I on a regular sized phone, I usually have like a row of widgets for all the things like Audible,
Yep.
all of the things that I want to play. So Sirius, Apple Music, Audible, podcast, whatever, right? And I can't do that here because some of them are resizable and some of them are not,
Yep.
right? Which is annoying, freaking Audible. Um, and then I have like this post-it note one, which is like I like the idea of the post-it note, but unless you put more post-it notes in there, it just looks like this random yellow square on your screen. So
Okay, so in regards to widgets and like battery, here's my thing about the. I've heard this from people that I know that are, they've used Apple their entire life. They have no interest in using Android. I hear this like once in a while, and it's a good point. Like, why, despite what you're saying, I'm not disagreeing. Like, we all have our own opinions. Why can't Apple give us the option? And I know what you're going to say. Apple doesn't do options, but I mean, they brought in widgets. Why can't they just give us the option to show battery percentage or not? Kind of like Androids can. You can have it next to, you can have it inside the icon, or you can
ha-
not have it at all. And it's that's it seems like a pretty simple,
have
straightforward
have
thing.
have you ever like so let me lay out the scenario.
Yeah.
You and your wife are trying to arrange the furniture in the room, right?
Uh-huh.
Each of you probably have your own thought process about where stuff fits best.
I'm married. I just say yes.
Oh well,
I know what you mean, though. I know
I
what you mean.
I don't.
But you know what, this battery thing also go. I know what you're getting to, but like this battery thing also goes back to notifications. Do you want to believe how often I've missed that I have a voicemail or a notification because when you like, okay, so when I pick up my iPhone right now, yes, okay, like yes, raised awake, I don't see anything. But if I don't see that, for example, I swipe open, there's no indication anywhere at the top. There's nothing anywhere to tell me as soon as I unlock the device, hey, you have a voicemail. Hey, you have a notification. Nothing until I swipe down. It's an extra action and it's
Well,
inefficient. I
no,
should be
I
able to
mean
I should be able to glance at my phone
you're supposed to.
just like I can right now with this and see, okay, I've got a Facebook, I've got an Instagram, right? Away we go.
So but you're supposed to have the little badge on, right?
Oh no, See, I keep my iOS screen relatively clean, and like you'll stress out right now. Right now, I have 857 unread emails,
Oh
but
man,
but that's
you don't even want to know.
that's between three accounts though, because that's Gmail,
Yeah,
right?
I turn off all my badges because I have over 4,000
So if you have your
unread.
badges turned off, then again, there's no indication until you do that extra swipe down. Now, of course, if
See,
you have an iPhone, you figured this out. Now I have figured out that every time I unlock, swipe up, then I have to do a swipe down to see those. Do you know what I mean? Like it's inefficient. Whereas right now, the always on display on my Galaxy S21 Plus, I can glance at it and I can see it is 6:35 Mountain, Tuesday, September 28th. I have a Facebook, I have an Instagram message, I have three. I'm sorry, YouTubes, and then plus seven. So plus seven more notifications, and I'm not even touching the device.
So when I look at my when I look at my fold, the always on screen, it says I have like a health thing and a security thing and a
Hmm.
Facebook thing and plus 17 other things, right? That's what it says. So then I know double tap that, right?
Yeah,
And so then it gives me this. It gives me this,
yeah,
which
yeah.
is like
The pull down.
everything
Yeah.
looks the same, right?
Hmm.
I mean, okay, so
I
all the colors are the same. They're not really separated from one another. Whereas like on iOS, you get it, right? Come on now. Do it.
uh,
Hold on. 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2,
Everything
2.
here does not look the same.
So with this, everything is in its own little box, and it's all nested inside its own little box, right?
Here's my pull down for. So you're saying everything looks the same. Here's my pull down on all my notifications right now on Android. Like I can go through and I can go new video from Pataka on Facebook. Well, I'm not going to watch that. And then I've got a spam message from somebody on Instagram. I can swipe that away. I got 2 notifications for Painfully Honest Live, Painfully Honest Tech going live. I got Sam from iUpdate who uploaded a video, got Emergency Awesome. I got one here from Nikias. I got 2 mentions on Instagram. Tech Odyssey mentioned and tagged me. Weird. I'm not even at VidSummit. But you know, like it doesn't look. I know. Are you using like a special like theme or anything so it looks the same?
I'm using a Samsung theme, but it doesn't change. It changes the colors, but it doesn't change the way they're organized, right?
Okay, so you're talking about the organization. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for me, and somebody said it right here. I don't want to see. John Mack says, I don't want to see any notification unless I want to see them. That's kind of the way I operate as well. So it's like I'm looking at this, and then I want to see what my notifications are. I can go in here, like I've got I got a crap ton of emails, right? So but this is all my emails, right? I tap it, they unfold, I can look at all of them, and that's great. Now let's contrast that with, so I get these Google notifications every day, right? And here's what they look like. They're not nested. They're just there. Google notification after notification after notification of totally useless crap.
So you like how iOS stacks them for similar apps? Okay, so it looks like less. Yeah.
So if I want to dive into all the emails that I got, then I can just tap them and they'll unfurl, and I'll be able to see all of the emails. But if I don't want to look at all the emails, they'll go away. But here I have to look at your daily joke, your daily quote.
Well, then turn off those notifications.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'll do. But I always like get annoyed by it see, this is what I talk about when I talk about how Android gives me like agita. It just annoys the crap out of me because it does all this stuff. And it's an extra thing that I have to do. Wait, see, look.
Here's something that I wish iOS would do. So I'm going to pull down here. I'm going to show you this. I'm going to pull down here for my notifications, right? Yeah. So I've got Instagram. I've got one here for my professional email, a LinkedIn. Okay, so here's 2 Instagrams, right? Now, if I want to see further information about it without going in, I can do a further pull down.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, I see that Tech Odyssey replied back to me. I can reply back to them later on. I like that, so I don't have to open it up. I wish. Let's just put it this way: the way notifications are set up between both Android and iOS are hell of a lot better in the last couple of years than they ever were. Right? Yeah. In terms of stacking, I'll say this: I have less notifications on purpose, less turned on my iPhone. Simply because I don't like that I can't glance like I can with my Android. Do you know what I mean?
I'm the exact opposite.
Yeah. See. Yeah.
Because like, I'll have 3 notifications plus 17, and that gives me anxiety. I'm like, what 17 notifications can I possibly have since I last picked up my phone? Yeah. And then I find out, 900 of them are these stupid Google automatic things.
What Google automatic thing is? Turn them off.
Yeah, I know, but it was just on. It was just on. Why is it on? I don't want it. Why is it on?
Then turn it off.
I have to figure out where to go to turn it off.
You're hilarious.
Whereas, like, if I want to see my notifications on my iOS device, then I know exactly where to find them.
Okay, so
if I don't want to see them, I just go to the phone.
You had your phone, your iPhone 13. Now, which iPhone did you get? Just regular iPhone 13?
13 Pro Max.
Pro Max. Okay. So
I don't do no pedestrian, plebeian like iPhone 13.
Come on, man. Do that mini life like Jomo.
No.
He did the 12 mini for a year.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Not doing that. Not doing that.
Have you seen the iPhone 12 mini in like Shaq's hands? It looks like a Tic Tac.
I know. Well, there's a great, like, I think it's an Instagram or like a meme or something, like it's regular sized things in Shaq's hands to
Yeah.
just show, like, he's holding a bottle of water this big, right?
Yeah.
And it literally is like engulfed by his hand. It's like
Yeah.
it's his
Like,
hand is
where'd
3
it
times larger
go?
than mine.
So
It's tiny. He's holding it with like 2 fingers, and it looks like it's a thimble. It's crazy.
so you've had the iPhone 13 Pro Max all day Saturday because you had delivered
I
Friday,
got
all
it
day
Friday
Saturday.
evening.
So
Yeah,
you've had it all day Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So we'll say 3 solid days,
yeah.
right? Out of 10 of an overall encompassing review of it, out of 10, what would you rate it?
Okay.
Okay,
I'm gonna have to do this two different ways.
you can't just give a number,
Okay,
can you?
because if well, if I were to rate it as just an iPhone compared to the last iPhone,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Or if I just compare it an iPhone as a phone, right?
uh-huh.
So iPhone as a phone, thinking about all the things that I want out of a phone, I'll say 9 out of 10,
Really? Okay, cool.
right? But if I compare it to 12 Pro Max,
Uh-huh.
then it's maybe like a 6 or a 7,
That's why I figured a 7. Yeah,
because it's like, okay, it's cool and it does some other things better, but so I mean, if I were an iPhone person
mhm,
exclusively, and a lot of times I am, and sometimes I'm not, but if I were an iPhone person exclusively, and
yeah.
I would be perfectly satisfied. But I had this realization today as I was working on my Fold 3 review video
Mhm.
that, like, I've had this for 3 days.
Yeah, huh?
I haven't played with it at all. Like, I know exactly what it is. I've gone in and played around with cinematic mode a little bit, but basically, I can pick up either one of these,
Mhm.
the 12 Pro Max, the 13 Pro Max. I could pick up either one
Yeah.
and just use them, and there's no difference.
Yeah. So the ultimate question being, and I already know what the answer is going to be, if someone has a 12 series, should they go to the 13?
Well,
They
again,
will?
like, is it gonna change their lives? No,
No.
no. But if they're jazzed about the camera stuff,
Yeah.
or if they are struggling, with battery, or just would love to have that extra cushion of battery, I,
Mhm.
I mean, with the way that they're doing trade-ins now, like Apple's doing
Yeah.
trade-ins just like Samsung's doing.
Yeah. They're
So
just
if you can get a
yeah.
brand new iPhone for $200, then why
Yeah.
not? I mean,
I
if you have the $200, right,
yeah. My
and it's not
opinion is yeah,
it's
my
not going to
opinion
take if it's not going to take food out of your kids' mouths,
yeah.
you know.
My opinion is that again, just looking on paper, I haven't used either or. I still have an 11 Pro Max. My opinion is this. There's very small changes physically with it, and then the main changes are the 120 hertz, the cinematic, and I think the is it raw or ProRes, whichever one of those, right? If those are important to you, you already know that you want a 13 series. If you don't think you can utilize those or you have no interest in them, just stick with your 12. That being said, if your 12 is less than a year old and you're having battery issues, get that taken care of before the warranty's up.
Well, see, it's not even battery issues so much as, like, let's say you got the 12 Pro
Yep.
or you got the Mini, right? Um, and the battery is just not quite getting you through the day, which is possible, but not likely for most people, but
Yeah.
possible. The Mini definitely was battery challenged compared to the other iPhones.
Yeah. Well, it's
Um,
smaller. Yeah.
yeah, so if you want that extra hour and a half or 2.5 hours of battery, I saw somebody in the chat say that they'd been using their phone since like 5:30 in the morning and they were down to 79%.
Wow.
So there's a lot to be said for that kind of battery life, for
Yeah.
sure. But at the same time, like, is it night and day difference? Even like the ProMotion, for me, I can see it, but
Hmm.
I guess I never tried to like really read the text as it flew by my eyeballs before, because
Yeah.
it never so that's not a huge deal to me. And it's not going to change the way that you use the phone. It's not going to None of the things that exist on the new iPhone will change fundamentally the way that the phone operates for you on a daily basis. None of it.
Here's a good analogy. Tell me if you agree with this. Um, if the 12 is 6 o'clock at night, the the 13, and again 12 series is 6 o'clock at night. The 13 series is 7 o'clock at night. You can still do what you need to do because you still have that available daylight. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I see what you're saying. I
yeah,
see what you're saying.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean the 13, and Apple's really good at this because they did it with the 11. The 12 had the new design, so that was a little bit more of an incentive. But there's always something that is like cinematic mode
mm-hmm.
that is like, oh, brand new feature.
Yeah,
Other phones can't do that. So that's like the one thing that they can point to and say that's the big difference. There are different colors, but again, like, you know, there's I don't know. I just at the same time, like, doing my Fold 3 review, I was like, okay, I've had this phone for 3 weeks. I don't know half of how to do half of what I can do with this phone.
yeah,
Seriously, like
yeah,
multitasking, all the other stuff. Like, I could spend the next 2-3 months like training myself to use this phone completely, fully,
mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, not everybody wants to do that with a phone, but I can see, like, when you compare an iPhone against something like the Fold, then you're like, okay, so I can swap an iPhone out, basically have the same exact phone. Maybe I have to put in a few of my passwords
Mm-hmm.
and have the same exact experience within an hour, right? There's something to be said for that. A lot of people will really appreciate that, and there's a part of me that appreciates that for sure. I mean, because there's nothing more annoying than needing to continue doing what you do every day, and your new device is not like up to speed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's something to be said for that, but there's also something to be said for, a device that, like, you can use for 3 weeks and just have barely scratched the surface of what it's capable of, you know.
I agree. Yeah, yeah,
And so I'm kind of trying to think along those lines when it comes to the Fold. Like, the iPhone will always be the iPhone,
yep.
and that is not a slight by me in any way. I use the iPhone the majority of the time, and there's some things that I can only do on iOS or on a Mac that I can't. Like, I do those Amazon streams. There's no Android app for that, so I have to use an iOS device. So there's stuff that is easier to do or more streamlined or whatever, going both ways. The 13 ultimately is a very nice phone. Anybody who didn't buy a phone for the last couple of years, if they went and got the 13, it'd feel like they just went to the jewelry store, right? And they
Mm-hmm.
just bought themselves a diamond ring. That's part of the whole thing with buying an iPhone, is that it does have that bling factor, but that bling factor wears off pretty quickly.
It does. Yeah, it does.
And so at the same time, that I can't say that one is better than the other, but I can say that if you have a 12 and you've got the gear acquisition syndrome, right? And you want that iPhone bad, um, sleep on it. Sleep on it, and the next morning, if you still got gas,
Yeah.
then you can go get your iPhone.
I'm gonna
But
admit that like I canceled my 13 order. Like I got wrapped up in the whole ordering with our buddies there online and everything like that. I ended up canceling and everything. But now that I see more of the cinematic mode, I'm like, I think I could actually take advantage of that here
well,
because I
yeah,
actually, but
you've been doing a lot of photography related stuff, so
yeah, but not video so much, right?
but see,
So
I got well, not an argument, but I got in a discussion on, Jonathan Morrison had a uh, had a tweet. I can't remember what exactly the tweet was about, but somebody was saying that cinematic mode was just portrait mode for video.
hmm
And I was like, well, yes and no. I mean, let's think about how long it took anybody to get portrait mode and photos right. So, I mean, it took a long time. It took several iterations to get portrait mode right. Now Apple's just like jumping ahead of the line and putting it in video and
in
giving
video,
you a, a video technique that most people are not that's not available to most people, right?
Most people are aware of it. They don't know how it works. Yeah.
And and
Yeah.
and most people, like, you can't, if you can't do it on your smartphone, most people aren't going to do it, right?
Yep. Yep.
And so somebody was saying, well, it's not really about expensive cameras. It's just that most expensive cameras are where they use that feature. I'm like, well, exactly. This takes something that takes a goodly amount of money to be able to, like, to be able to use and learn and become conversant with, and it puts it in the hands of whoever buys an iPhone 13,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
So the potential for democratizing these higher end techniques is really, really cool. And I think it'll bring a lot of people to the table, and it'll be another creative tool for a lot of folks who, make content or want to make content and are inspired by what they can do with that feature or whatever it is. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to, revolutionize film, but it's going to put another tool in the box of people who typically wouldn't have that tool to help bring their voice forward, right? So that to me is what's really cool about cinematic mode. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter that it's, like, quote unquote fake, right?
Yep.
It doesn't matter, because that's what technology does. It takes them it you know the difference between science and magic is knowing how it works, right? So whereas you watch a movie and you see this happen and you have no idea, how did they do that, where everything's blurry but they focus from one person to the next, blah blah blah.
Yep.
So now they've taken the magic and turned it into science, where it's democratized and everybody else can do it.
Yeah.
And I think that is really cool. So
It is.
if you're somebody who is really interested in photography, or think you might be into videography or something like that, then, I mean, that tool is really cool. And then the ProRes video.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, well, ProRes. I saw somebody say ProRes is just a gimmick. I'm like, no.
No.
ProRes is not a gimmick, because ProRes is actually like what we all edited if we edit in Final Cut, right?
Mm-hmm.
ProRes is, in fact, the pro codec that most everybody uses. I mean, it's one of the codecs that is most prevalent in video right now,
Mm-hmm.
right? So the fact that you can shoot in ProRes on a smartphone
Yeah.
is
Pretty
is
crazy.
is really, it's really crazy.
It is
And
crazy.
and see, one thing that's cool about the way that Apple does this is Apple puts in cinematic mode and they bring along Pro Raw, and then this year they bring along ProRes, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're doing it really symptomatically. They're doing it as so that they can say, here's it's a very thoughtful process. They're introducing things that will take certain aspects of using their phones down the road another step. Whereas, like, Samsung and other Android manufacturers, I remember when Samsung would put, like, every feature on a phone, even if there
Yeah,
was,
like
like,
Samsung's had the whole bokeh video file for thing for a while, but not cinematic.
no,
It's very different. A lot of people are like, oh, you could do that for a long time. You could blur out the background of it. It's completely different. Like the camera is literally switching between subjects and purposely, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
and it looks. You know how sometimes pixels, when they do bokeh, it looks very pixel, like
yeah.
it looks very synthetic. From what I've seen with cinematic mode, it looks very natural, like watching a movie or television show that does that, right?
Yeah, I've seen stills. I think, again, Brian Tong in his video
His
took
is
some
good, yeah.
stills
Yeah,
of cinematic mode, and you could see sort of the halo
yeah,
that wasn't, like, totally locked on to every nook and cranny of somebody's head.
yeah.
But when you're moving and when everything is dynamic, it's not going to be as noticeable as it would
No,
be in a still
and
image.
and that's almost the real power. So that's what again, like I'm kind of flip flopping. I don't think I'm going to be getting one, but I was thinking about it, I'm like, well, the ones where I've seen where people doing video where they're relatively still, you could still see a bit of that halo thing. It's not bad. Like it could be a lot worse, right?
Right.
But when the people are moving, like with Trent's video there and his son was running around and everything, I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
right?
Well, like that Jonathan Morrison video that we played last week,
Yeah.
the music video where he was just following, he was just following with the camera.
Yep.
I mean, like I said, at that time, I had to watch it a second time to understand like what was happening,
Yep.
because it's not a sort of like slap you in the face kind of thing, and you're so
Mhm.
used to seeing it in films and in like television and higher end uh, entertainment that your eyeballs are used to seeing it. It was
Mhm.
only when I put together like Jonathan's using a smartphone, and the way that this girl is being framed is much more dramatic than it would have been without the blurred out backgrounds, right?
Mhm.
And that was sort of the beauty of
Yep.
that video. Again, I wish he would do a video on the TLD Today channel where he like explained that.
I think he's getting into it. He's going a lot deeper. We're at almost 1 hour. First of all, big thanks to the 150 plus of you that are here between the two channels and
Yeah,
everywhere else that Jason is streaming. This is awesome. We love it when you guys come out. We're reading the comments and everything like that, and we're kind of going our conversation off that. Let's move, Jason. Let's move the. I don't want to cut off because it's a good convo. We do have a couple more topics here. Let's move let's clear the screen there and move on to our next topic there. Z Fold 3 thoughts. You talked a little bit about it.
yeah.
So, first of all, did you ever get in touch with Samsung to find out what's up with why it was opened and stuff?
I didn't find out why. I mean, there were a few in the comments of that video. There were a few people who had some ideas
Okay.
about why, and they sound reasonable to me. Like, maybe somebody in a Samsung. In fact,
Hold on. Did you actually
somebody.
contact Samsung though?
No, I didn't.
Why not?
They called me.
How did they find out to contact you? They must have seen your video.
Yes, they did.
Wow. Speaking of Samsung contacting people, we'll talk about the Chad Christian thing.
Yeah, yeah. So they called me
Okay. Go on. I'm
last
gonna find that video.
last Tuesday, right?
Yep. Yep.
No, maybe it was Wednesday. Anyway, I put that video up on Monday. They called me on Wednesday,
Like
and
really? Like out of
yeah,
nowhere?
and it was like I got this call, and it said Samsung, and it said Samsung, and I'm
Uh
like,
huh.
what? And then, and then I got it, and I didn't answer it. I got a follow up email that, like, in brackets before the whole title of the email was Tier 3 customer service. So I'm like, oh, okay. So we're up the ladder a little bit.
No kidding.
Um, and so this woman called me. I called her back. She's like, I'm calling about this issue that you had with the box being open and fingerprints on the screen, et cetera, et cetera. She's like, we don't know why it happened or how it happened, but we're prepared to offer you $150 in credit in addition to what we've already given you,
What?
to make up for it,
How
right?
about replace it?
Here's the thing.
Oh,
I Here's the reason I was reluctant to do that. Well, one of the reasons I was reluctant
they
to do
should have
that.
offered a replacement.
They don't have any more. Like, you can't buy one now. Like, there was I tweeted out an article that showed a carrier store that just was like, if you want a Samsung, go look at somebody else's because we don't have any. So I was like, okay, an extra $150, whatever, I'll take it, because otherwise, like the shipping it back and the waiting for it and all that stuff, I just didn't want to deal with it. And so I was still impressed that because I mean, what's the price of like a messed up unboxing experience? And there's nothing wrong with the phone, right? So what price do you put on that?
Dude, okay, there may not be nothing on the phone, but you dropped X amount, trade in whatever for a new device. Okay, so I don't want to give you a hard time because I already have privately. But
Well,
dude, you really should have gotten in touch with them like right away.
here's the thing, though. I mean, it doesn't bother me that much. I mean, I buy so much open box stuff, and so it doesn't bother me on that front. I don't feel like I was being cheated, and I don't feel like Samsung was being sort of like lazy or nefarious about it. I think probably what happened was someone either in like a Samsung distribution center or someone, before it got boxed up and sent to me, opened it up, played with it, put it back in the box. In fact, I was at Best Buy the other day because I bought a Galaxy Watch
Wait,
4
hold on.
Classic.
You're allowed to go in there still?
Oh yeah, yeah. I haven't returned anything in quite a while, so.
I mean, would it matter because you don't take stuff back for return that should be? Go on. Yes, that was a shock. Go on. You were in Best Buy.
So anyway, my new reviews here, my reviews are now going to be called "Keep It or Return It." By the way, so because everybody keeps asking me on Twitter, in comments, every place, they're like, "When are you going to take it back? When are you going to take it back?"
Well, here's how I would have approached this. Okay, first of all, I understand because you need to get the video, but I would have done the unboxing and literally kept that in there, like with the quote, the whole "what the hell, why is this open" and everything, and there's your viral video.
I know,
right.
So, and normally I think I probably would have been thinking along those lines, but do you remember like how I took delivery of the thing?
Yeah.
So they came to the door at like 8 a.m.
And you like fell on your face and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. And my elbow is still fucked. Like I went to roll out of bed this morning and put my weight on the point of my elbow and was like screaming in pain. And this was 3 weeks ago that I fell.
You need to go see a doctor, dude.
Yeah. Fuck that.
Okay. Yeah. See, here you go. Yeah, I don't need
to. So that's the thing. I made the video. I don't really care. Because the unboxing experience, like it's sort of like the iPhone. Like once you get it out of the box and take the stuff off, then like it's over. The dopamine hit is gone.
Yeah.
Right. So I just was kind of like, I've been thinking about this review for over a week. Like I was originally scheduled to record this review last Monday.
Okay.
Not yesterday, but last Monday. And I didn't do it. And I was going to do it over the weekend, and I didn't do it. I mean, part of it was being busy, but the other part of it was I didn't exactly know what I was going to say about the phone. Because my biggest problems with the Fold up to this point were, they were kind of okay phones that folded.
Okay.
And that was like the selling point, right?
Yeah.
It's an okay phone. It might not be, as good as the other phones, but it folds in half. And to me, that was like not good enough for what they were trying to sell us, right? $2,000, $1,800, So the Fold 2, I used it. I used it for about 2 weeks, got annoyed with it, and then started to do that math in my head of like, this was $1,800, and if I'm annoyed with this now, and I'm worried about the strength of it, and will it last, and blah blah blah, and all that stuff. This one, the Fold 3, feels like a phone. You open it up, you use it, and it does all the things that flagship phone is supposed to do, right? And it does them all pretty well. The only place where maybe there's a downside is the cameras are not the latest cameras, but they still take really good pictures. In fact, yesterday morning, I was kind of like testing out macro mode on the iPhone 13 Pro Max and just seeing how it worked. And it was pretty cool. It is pretty cool. I mean, honestly. But then I got the Fold and tried to recreate the same kind of macro photo, even though it's not advertised as like having a macro lens, right?
Yeah.
And it got right in there. The same kind of distance away. Everything else 14 centimeters.
Nice, 14 centimeters.
But I tried to do it with the 12 Pro Max, and it wouldn't do it. So I mean, the cameras are not the latest cameras. The screen is still, it's not lumpy like it used to be, but it does have the crease.
Lumpy.
yeah, the fold screen used to be kind of lumpy, you
I've
know.
never heard anybody say that.
I mean, part of it was because of the just the overall tensile strength of the screen, but also like the rubbery plastic thing that they had on there.
You tried taking
It,
that off?
I took it off
No.
I took it off last year.
Yeah, I
I
remember
did.
that. I know. I remember that. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but the problem that I had last year was it felt like you remember those old screen protectors that you would get that were like, you had to get them wet and then you put them on and they were just like
I
rubbery.
applied many of those back in the day. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's what last year's screen protector felt like on the Fold 2. It was nasty. And it just wasn't it didn't feel good on your fingers when you were using it. It didn't look good. It didn't, it just looked lumpy like those screen protectors used to look, right?
Yeah.
And so like it just wasn't a good enough experience. But this one is different. Um
It's always
this
an
one,
interesting experience with Painfully Honest Tech.
yeah, I mean, I I want to just do the painfully honest tech thing and say, this is a silly, stupid thing. It folds. Who cares? But I then have to be like honest with myself and say, well, but it's actually like a real phone this time.
Yeah.
So how does that like my criticism before was that it was like hindered in all kinds of different ways just so it could exist.
Well, I mean, you're allowed to change your opinion because one, you're a human, and two, as long as you're explaining the process of why your opinion has changed, then go ahead and give her, right? Speaking of fold, let's talk about this really quick.
Yeah, let's.
First,
But
first.
first, I want to say that I did go out and get the Galaxy Watch
Oh, that's right.
Classic.
Yeah, you got the watch. How you liking it?
So far, it's kind of like the phone. Like, there's a lot that it can do, and it's the kind of thing where it's like you could ignore it and just do the basic things, or you could do more. So I'm kind of in the same place with both of them. But it's a nice watch.
It looks like a watch.
It looks like a watch. It's got that like little crown dial thingy.
Yeah.
Which is
it takes
pretty
regular
cool.
watch bands, doesn't it?
It takes 20 millimeter regular watch
so
bands.
Regular. Yeah, you can put anything on there. Yeah.
But most watch bands I've found are like 22 millimeters.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Size.
Yeah.
So I actually found a nylon. This is sort of like a ghetto Apple sport band.
Nice.
Right?
Ghetto.
$5 on Amazon.
Don't spend too much, folks.
But I mean, I haven't been able to find anything that nice yet. And Theron is right. So this is the whole thing. It turns into a tablet. So it turns into a tablet. Now, one of the things that I do with the tablets that I have is I read books. This screen is as large or maybe a little bit larger than my Kindle screen. So that eliminates the need for the Kindle.
Do you turn on like reading mode so it's easier on your eyes?
Yeah, I read white on black.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and I also read in the dark, which, when I'm
You're not
reading,
supposed to do that, kids.
Well, that's why I read white on black. But yeah, I read in the dark because it helps me. Like, reading helps me go to sleep. And I'm one of those people that, like, instead of like deciding to go to sleep, I just kind of like pass out.
Yeah.
So I don't want to have to wake up like 2 hours later and turn off the lights and shit. So
gotcha. Let's talk about the Coach Fold thing. So before I even bring up the video, like I'll share the screen, Jason, but don't show it yet, okay?
Right.
So fellow tech tuber, reviewer, he now does mostly crypto stuff. Chad Christian goes by Coach on Twitter here. To set this up for full disclosure, and he did give full disclosure. It's not some sort of setup and da-da-da-da. He dropped his Galaxy Fold, his Galaxy Z Fold 3 5G had a nasty spill a couple weeks ago or about 10 days ago or so.
He had it on. He was riding his bike. He's an avid bike rider.
It was a motorcycle. So when he
Oh,
says
okay.
bike, he means motorcycle. It
Oh,
fell and it hit something, and it took some, as he calls it, integrity damage. In other words, physical damage. He was in the middle of boxing it up. Now, it was on his kitchen table, and he's like, oh, he's going to go out and run some errands with his wife. And he thought, oh, I'll go back and box this up real quick. Luckily, he went back into the house and he found this. Now, this is in his. You want to go ahead and share this, Jason? This is in his garage. He
so it
he
started to do this as he was putting it back in the box, and
yeah
he was in his kitchen. So he threw it out into his garage, and this is him grabbing another phone and camera
yeah.
and taking a picture of like
What's
pretty
going
much
on?
the aftermath of what the initial thing.
So let's be really clear here. First of all, yes, the phone had physical damage. It did not spontaneously combust. It's not a Note 7 issue. Second of all, this can happen, and this does happen to any lithium-ion battery that gets punctured. Okay,
Right.
so if a battery swells and you're like, "Oh, I'm gonna be funny. I'm gonna go ahead and poke that," don't. Okay, yeah. So this can, and when I retweeted it or I replied to this saying this can happen to any lithium-ion device, it's true. If any lithium-ion powered battery device gets punctured, this can happen, right? That's the that's the gases and everything letting off there, and there's enough heat there to start a fire depending where it is. So
Right.
yeah, so this is not a case of he broke it. He admits that it dropped. His TikTok has most of the follow up and everything. Samsung contacted him like that. They contacted him right away and said, "Hey, so they have a special team that takes care of these kind of things." But he was in the process of returning it or something like that. Now, before this happened, it actually came back from a previous repair. Okay, so he actually sent it in for a repair. I don't know what the circumstances are there. You'll have to check out his social medias. But so it came back from a repair. It took a tumble off his motorcycle, and then here we are. So that's basically what happened.
Yeah. And I
Gino says I have to point it out. Gino says I have to.
so that's the thing that's interesting to me about that is it would be easy for people to like lose their shit, right?
Oh, dude, you should have seen the replies and the quote replies and everything. It's people are
Well,
insane. Like,
and somebody I replied to it too, and somebody was like, "Oh my god," and I'm like,
it's another Note 7 issue. Oh my god, see.
and I was just like, "Look, this could happen to any smartphone,
Exactly.
like anything that has a lithium ion battery in it, under the right circumstances, this could happen." So
Batteries
clearly,
swell. Yeah.
yeah. So clearly, when it fell off his bike, somehow the battery in that part of the phone, because the batteries on each, they have a battery pack on each side, right?
Yep.
So somehow the battery on that side was damaged, and maybe like jostling it around, like made that worse. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
At some point, the battery casing, that sort of like aluminum casing that's around it, that like got enough air in there to combust.
Yeah.
So could happen in any phone. Hasn't happened in any other folds to my knowledge, and so
No.
therefore, like, this isn't negligence or anything
No.
on Samsung's
This is a result
part.
of it. This is a result of a drop. But it's very interesting how, like you would think. Okay, so for like Samsung has admitted that these devices are very much luxury, right?
Right.
And I don't think they're ready for mainstream yet the way they are because people drop their devices all the time. That being said, I think Samsung has a really it would be easy for Samsung to kind of, I'm not going to say dismiss, but go, he dropped it, that's why it happened. But the fact that it came back from a Samsung authorized repair shop, and this happened, you got to wonder if on the back end Samsung saying, okay, it should have survived more than that. Like, I don't know what the size of the rock is. I don't know what it landed on. Did it land flat? Did it land on gravel? Was it something that was a sharp piece of gravel that was sticking up like a sharp rock? I don't know. I mean, Chad does
Well,
admit that it did take physical damage.
It's also possible that when they went to repair it, they somehow like nicked the battery pack as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, we could go forensic on this and probably figure out what exactly happened, but at the end of the day, like, I think you could say maybe this isn't the phone to take out on your riding on your hog, right? I mean,
Yeah.
maybe use one of. I mean, we know that Coach has a couple more, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so maybe use a different device. But I understand, it's the new hotness.
Yeah.
Um, Samsung, I mean, Samsung's not like Apple when it comes to repairs. Like Samsung doesn't have Samsung stores where everybody is trained and they're using Samsung OEM parts, and like Samsung has different tiers of customer repair service, right?
They still have to pass a series of tests and stock certain parts and everything. So if a place is Samsung authorized, which I know Christian took it to because he has the special warranty or whatever with it.
Mhm.
And again, I don't know what the circumstances were why he sent it for repair originally. There's a lot of stuff in the background, but at least most of the clarity is up front there.
Yeah.
I would say for the most part, you could trust any Samsung authorized. But I understand what you mean, Jason, where it's when you send your stuff into Apple or take it to Apple, it's actually being done by Apple. Like for
Yeah.
me, for my 11 Pro Max, when I went and got the screen replaced last month, um, they didn't have any 11 Pro Max screens in Calgary, which I thought was really weird. They actually overnighted it, and it took 2 days. I had to go to Toronto and come back, but it actually went to a Toronto Apple repair
Yeah.
shop, like an actual Apple,
And
right?
it came via sled dog.
Something like that. Yeah, they had
Yeah,
Little's
yeah.
Hobo. Yeah. Do you remember Little's Hobo? He helped out.
Okay. Good.
Do you
Good.
remember Little's Hobo
I think, yeah, I think so.
with the German Shepherd?
Yeah, yeah.
That's how I fell in love with that dog. Love
Okay.
Little's Hobo.
So
There's a
yeah, I
place.
mean, ultimately, the Fold 3 is a much better version of a folding phone than the folds that have come before it. It's not hindered by the inadequate battery of the Flip. The Flip, the whole deal for me, the inadequate battery life was just like a no deal. No
Yep.
deal. Like
Yep.
if all I'm getting is a folded up slab phone with bad battery life, then no. I understand the attraction of, the smaller form factor and all that kind of stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
with this, like now I will think about this as a real potential form factor for a smartphone and not just Samsung
I
like getting their jollies.
Like I can't wait to see the first generation. Like if this was the generation, especially with the Flip, where they make it price wise definitely more accessible. I can't wait to see with fourth gen, like in terms of physical, right? Because remember, like originally these devices had like thick bezels and like
Oh yeah,
useless little
yeah.
out screens. Like, and here we are in 3 generations, like
Well,
accessible.
the fact that you can use an S Pen,
Yeah.
you can like I didn't think it. I honestly didn't think it would happen. Like having felt the screen of the two, and was just like this feels like a screen protector from 2011. Like this is gross. So it's just a much better experience, and
Hmm.
honestly, like it might be my new daily driver.
I can't
It
believe you
might
use that word, those words.
I
Okay.
know, I know. Well,
Okay.
I said it with a snide little accent, so
Let's talk about, I don't know where the video is.
yeah,
Was
it's
it
on
posted by
Sam's Twitter. It's on Sam's Twitter.
about the
I
jelly
updated.
thing? I mean, which is apparently nothing new. I've seen the
Yeah,
jelly thing
no,
before.
well, but it's another. So I'll share the screen here
You
because
got it? Okay.
this is the front page tech article um that you
Is it
for
is it written is it written by Judge Booty?
would that be his fiance?
Yeah, go on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um yes,
It
Christina.
is. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
awesome. I like her.
So anyway, it's probably hard to see here. Oh wait, there's music. Don't want to hear the music. Can you
Yeah.
guys see it that larger? Is
Yeah,
it-
it's okay. It's good enough. Okay, I'm watching the replay over here. Yeah, there you
Anyway,
go.
when you scroll, you can see there's kind of like a
Can
little
you
jiggly movement as the lines refresh, right? And
Yeah.
this is supposedly has pro motion, right? Is
Hmm.
that part of the deal? This supposedly has the pro motion, the 120
Yeah,
hertz.
yeah. Can you
Okay.
clear the screen of the Steven D
Yeah.
sign there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I just put
Um
that up there to remind us to get to it. But
yeah.
so it supposedly has the pro motion,
Yeah.
which is 120 hertz, adaptable refresh rate down to 10 up to 120. And so what we're seeing here, according to Apple, according to Apple, what we're seeing here is uh, the way that LCD screens refresh, right?
Yeah.
So LCD screens refresh one line at a time. They're not like OLED screens, which pixels turn on and off, right?
Yep. Yep.
So it's more of a matrix with the LCD screens, and that's why we're seeing it happen this way, right?
Hmm.
So, but it's another example of, like, in this case, you're scrolling wrong, you know? Like, Apple's just saying this is how it works. Well, for people who bought this and thought, I'm getting 120 hertz refresh rate on this iPad mini, they're thinking like, well, it doesn't look nearly as good as my Samsung, right?
Yeah.
So Michael Pepper says it's only a 60 hertz. At any rate, I mean, it's still like, well, I mean, I'm using the iPad Pro 12.9, which is an OLED screen, I believe.
Hmm.
So I haven't had this issue with an iPad for a while. But yeah, I mean, people are noticing it, and you got to admit, like, starting price of $500 for the iPad Mini with 64 gigabytes of storage is a lot to ask, and that's why I put the question up there, like, am I going to review it? I went to Best Buy. I like looked at their like store model. I was holding it. I was like, this is nice, but this is another thing. Then I took out the fold, and I held the fold, and I'm
Hmm.
like, this is the same.
Yeah.
you know so it's basically the iPad mini's screen is 8.6 inches, I believe, and the iPad mini is 8.3, and the fold screen is 7.6, right?
Yep.
So we're talking like different
It's big.
aspect
It's
rate.
it's big. It's bigger than this.
Yeah, it's different aspect ratios, but you're talking about the difference of like half an inch. um so to me, like, I would love to have an iPad that size, but where I get stuck is that the iPad mini couldn't also, like, right now I'm using my iPad Pro as my writing computer. Like, I have a
Oh,
keyboard.
you're doing your scripts on there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I have this desk, which is the live streaming, like, filming desk, right? And then I have my
Hmm.
music desk over on the other side of this, and then I have upstairs in a bedroom a desk that just has an iPad and a keyboard and a couple of knickknacks, like, and headphones.
Nice.
So that's the way that I have to separate out all the things, or I get discombobulated. So to me, like,
This.
basically getting the iPad mini would mean getting a second iPad, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That doesn't make much sense.
As much as I like the form factor, to do what I want to do with an iPad right now,
You need the
I
bigger one.
I need a bigger one, and I've
Yeah.
gone from 9.7 to 10.2 to 11 to now 12.9. And 12.9, while it's not ideal for like reading in bed or something,
Yeah.
it's it's easier to take that and read in bed than it is to have two different iPads.
I see the mini as being not so much for productivity, but kind of like the reason I brought up this is like this is my 2013 Nexus,
Right.
or maybe it's 2014. By the way, this still runs like a champ. I just cleared it the other day. Um, I've been using it as an e-reader.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the second generation Nexus tablet. It was done by Asus. That I've been using this as an e-reader, as just a bigger screen to watch like handheld. But obviously, like I would never do anything if this was modern, like modern processor or anything. I wouldn't, just like the iPad Mini. I wouldn't use it for productivity. I see the iPad Mini, the new generation one here, as more just I needed something a little bit bigger for watching a video, for e-reading, for email,
Yeah.
social media kind of thing. But as for like like hardcore productivity, like you for like writing scripts and anything,
Right.
um, unless you enjoy a small display, I can't see how it's good for that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could probably plug it into an external monitor, but then
It kind
iPads
of
still
defeats the
have
purpose.
iPads still have problems like with aspect ratio on 16:9 monitors, if I
Yeah.
recall correctly. You could use it in tandem with a Mac,
Mm-hmm.
with Sidecar or whatever. But here's the so to me, it's like a cool device that would be the perfect iPad for some people, but it's not the perfect iPad for me,
Yep.
right? Um, and the thing about the jelly scrolling thing, um, I don't know. I mean, it's not it's not perfect,
Yeah.
um, but again, it's one of those things like people like Apple could this could be like cast in gold,
Mm-hmm.
and people would be like, no, look at the lines. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's one of those things that's in it, like it's just
Well, the jelly effect only happens when you're going slow. Like if you're just doing a quick, like a normal scroll, I don't think you notice as much, do you?
well, I mean, I don't think you notice it as much, but you would still see it, especially if you're comparing it to, say, like a 120 hertz display, right?
Yeah, that's true. But you
Because
also got
like,
to consider the size as well. 120 hertz is going to look real nice on a smaller display as opposed to a larger display, right?
well,
Like
you're
I
gonna
know,
notice it. You're gonna notice it more.
this
Um,
is an iPad 2018 right here. That this is the selfie camera. This has ProMotion on it. I can tell you that my S21 Plus, again, the way the Android does the higher refresh, it definitely looks better than this. Like scrolling, this isn't. I'm not saying this is bad, but it's noticeable, even though they're both of doing that high refresh, right?
right.
Yeah,
So I put up John Mack's question here about the Fold 3, right?
yeah.
So he says the Fold is thicker, can't be used open one-handed with ease, and the camera isn't great. Um, the camera isn't the camera isn't as good as the S21 Ultra, but the S21 Ultra is probably the best camera I've used on a Samsung phone, if not the best camera I've used on an Android phone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Pixel is the Pixel, but I mean, there are reasons not to buy the Pixel, right? So the camera to me is not an issue. I would have loved for it to be, if it's taking the place of the Note, then I want it to be what the Note was before they dumbed the Note down and
Mm.
said, oh, we're going to make a Note Lite and all that stuff. The Note was the showcase phone, best camera, best screen, best everything that we could possibly put. This is our showcase phone, and that's kind of what the Fold is becoming. Now, can't be used open one-handed with ease. Like, well, obviously not. That's when you start to talk about the difference between what this is and what this is, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, part of the attraction of the smartphone initially was a lot of information, a lot of connectivity in a small space, right? And so you can do that on the but once you get here, I mean, if you want to use it one-handed, do this. Even that's not super easy, but still, like, this is a usable display by you know for sure.
Yep.
Like, you can use this display perfectly well. And I have, like, just stuff that I would need on the fly real quick, just sitting here, Starbucks, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
So is it perfect? No. Is it the perfect smartphone and the perfect tablet? No. Is it a really good smartphone and a really good tablet? Yeah. This time around, I think it is. So it's kind of like you have to decide, like, do you want to buy and I saw people making this comparison. Do you want to buy an iPhone 13 and an iPad mini and spend $2,000? Or do you want to buy one device that does both things and spend 1800, right?
Good point.
So
Yeah,
so yeah, I mean, and that $2,000 is only if you get the base model iPad mini with 64 gigs of storage. This
yeah.
is
64 is
This
pitiful.
comes with 256 and 512 and 12 gigabytes of RAM.
Yeah, yeah,
So this thing is the first time, as I said, I've been critical of the Fold stuff. This is the first time that I'm looking at it and saying, okay, they're actually delivering they're delivering the potential that they wanted to deliver with the Fold 1 and the Fold 2. They're actually delivering it now. And like you said, the fourth iteration is probably going to be, that much better, because look where they got in 3 generations. They got from trash to pretty much like what it should have been, in a perfect world when it came out, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, I'm softening to it, in the sense that I can really see potential in using this and it being like a very useful device for me, right? Not to say that the iPhone wouldn't be in its own way, in a very familiar way that I've used for a long time, and it's quite possible that in a couple of weeks I'll be like, well, I'm tired of making things difficult for myself. I'm just going to go back to the iPhone, but this is the first time that the folding phones have, to me, said, you know what? We're a phone, we're a tablet. That's kind of what the Note wanted to be.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a phone, it's a tablet. The Note was more a phone than a tablet. This is more a tablet, but still a phone. The funniest thing, though, is like, and this is what I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, look at this. Like, how do you use this to make a phone call?
You don't. You fold it.
I know, but that's annoying. That is one thing that annoys me, because it's like, okay, so I have to fold it so I can use it as a phone. But what if I'm here
comfortably? Yeah, unless you got shack hands.
There's no earpiece that I can find anywhere.
It's on the other side when you fold it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
but I don't want to have to like fold my phone. It's I want.
It's called a fold, Jason.
But when the phone call comes and I'm watching, a YouTube video or TikTok or whatever, I just want to answer the phone.
You can answer and then fold it in half and
but then I have to unfold it.
Oh my God.
You should be able to. Here's what I do. I put it on speaker.
There you go.
But I don't feel like I should, but look at this. People made fun of the Note. Like, here, I've got this like side plate from my dinner table that I'm just like holding to my ear. So
you're gonna be, how we used to make, how we make fun of people using tablets that take like video of their kids, like at the Christmas concert and everything.
Yeah,
you'll be doing that with your fold, and somebody behind. Oh, look at this idiot with his iPad. No, wait a minute, hold on.
The cool thing is,
and then Jason will look over, really fold. Keep on recording.
Well, the cool thing is, like, now, look at this. I'm doing this, right?
I can't see because you got the picture.
So, but then I got cover preview, man. See, I'm previewing my photo with the cover, so I can like selfie myself.
I know, and that's powerful because you can use the good camera.
Yeah, and like it's easier to do on the Flip. That's the one thing I'll say about the Flip is you can take a pretty decent selfie using the Flip. It's just like it's easy to hold in your hand, fold it up, and then like with this, the flex mode can be pretty powerful. Like if I hold it this way, kind of clamshell like, and I use the camera app or I use YouTube or I use something like that, then I end up.
Sorry, continue. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So like then I end up being able to use it sort of like the V series and the G8X with the dual screens. It becomes sort of the same thing. So I mean, it's the best of both worlds. But what are we saying here?
Lucas says here, Zach. He spells the name wrong. Sorry, dude. I couldn't possibly understand you more than right now. It's called the fold. If you want to fold, get a slab.
Yeah,
he's not wrong. He's not wrong.
So John Mack says there's a reason flip phones went away. Well, they didn't actually go away, but we'll not get into the semantics of it. My mother-in-law is carrying a flip phone.
I got a flip phone. Huh? It's a Razor. You know what else I have here? This will be the next big thing. Check it out. This will be the next big thing right here. They'll start putting buttons back on the front of cameras of phones.
I would love that, actually.
Look at that piece of great Canadian technology right there.
You remember when they made the Note with a keyboard cover?
Yes.
The Note with I think it was the Note 8.
Yeah, I remember that.
So anyway, to me, like the whole flip phone thing, like my daughter wants the flip. My daughter wants
She
the
wants
flip.
the Z Flip.
Yeah, because it's smaller.
Yeah.
Because she does what all the kids in high school do. She puts the phone in the back of her pants,
Mm-hmm.
right, and it falls out. It's always sticking out. Like I
Yeah.
gave I gave her the TCL 10 5G one,
Yeah.
and she smashed it to bits.
Jeez.
So she smashed like every phone that I've given her. But the nice thing about the flip is that it does fold down. So it's like protected by pretty strong aluminum all the way around. The back glass, very strong. And I watched Phone Buff for the first time in ever. You
Oh
ever
yeah.
watch Phone Buff?
Heard of it, never watched it.
So he does drop tests and like
Uh,
and stuff like that. And
that's
so
so subjective because I don't know.
no, but he made a machine.
A machine.
He made a machine that goes up and down, and so he holds it at the machine will hold it at different angles, and all he has to do is press the button, and he can like somewhat control where it falls and
That's
stuff.
what that's what OtterBox does with their drop test facility, which I've toured in Colorado in Fort is it Fort Collins? Yeah, Fort Collins,
Yeah, Fort
Colorado.
Collins.
That's where
Yeah.
their head office is, but they also do their drop test facilities there. It's a separate building, and you wouldn't even know it's an OtterBox building. But what they do is they put the phones in the different cases, and they drop them from specific heights, specific angles, on specific types of materials and everything. It's crazy the kind of drop tests they do. Yeah,
So I hadn't watched this guy's videos for a long time,
yeah,
but one popped up. I was watching just a bunch of Fold videos, and so one popped up on the Fold 3, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is going to be comical, right?"
yeah,
No. When it was folded, like nothing broke.
yeah.
And then when it was folded and it landed on a corner, like when it landed on the hinge side, nothing broke. And usually when it falls, because it's heavier on the hinge side, it's gonna fall in that direction, right?
Yep.
So, but he used his machine to kind of tilt it so that it would land on the edges that weren't near the hinge, and so the front screen broke, and eventually the back. He dropped it 5 times total, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the back cracked, and then he opened it up and started dropping it, and the interior screen got a couple of dead pixels,
Really?
but it did not break.
Yeah.
It did not break at all. It still
Yeah. Well,
functioned like perfectly.
because it's flexible, so I would think so.
Yeah,
The dead pixels make sense though because of the shock. Yeah.
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 So and the dead pixels were like right where the crease was. So it may have been like just something
Mm-hmm.
moved in that general area. So it was pretty impressive. I mean, I still think that folding phones are kind of like you know the halfway point towards something else.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the first time that I've used a folding phone and said I can see the utility here. I can see why this would make sense, right? And I can see
That,
how this could be good for me to use. Like
yeah.
it has use cases, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
Tao, I can't, I don't remember how to pronounce her last name, but
It's
she did like
she's Canadian. Tao. Yep. She's
yeah,
awesome.
she did a long-term fold video
Mm-hmm.
where she talked about taking notes, and it was really in depth, and she did a really good job with it and helped me kind of like see some potential uses for the fold that I didn't quite put together. So she's got a good video. The Phone Buff video is worth watching. um I watched the Jerry Rig Everything fold videos, both for the flip and for the fold, and while I love Zach and I love his videos, like it's kind of like when you watch him do the fold videos, it's like of course you're going to tear it to pieces, right? So, but surprisingly, like he couldn't break either of them. He did not, like when he pushed against the hinge the opposite way, they didn't
Mm-hmm.
break. So I'm pretty impressed. I mean, I'm still like I made this video. It took me an hour and a half to film my A roll,
Mm-hmm.
which is an hour longer than I usually take. But I wanted to like show examples of things and stuff like that. There's still some things that I feel like I want to say about it that I didn't put it didn't
Well, I
make enough.
mean, I think make the videos as long as you need to, as long as you're not rambling and whatnot. It's gonna have value, and put chapter markers in, man. Like it
Well,
helps push the video.
that's one thing that I did with the structure of this video that I don't normally do is that I actually like structured it so that there would be parts. And a lot of my videos there might be like the beginning, the middle, and the end.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of telling a story, so it's not as much like broken up the way.
Well, not to get too much off topic, but I mean, if you want to push your videos more, especially in search and on Google search, put chapters in that people would search for. Battery life.
See, that's the thing.
Right?
That's why I'm only going to selectively use chapters. Because
Okay.
if it's from a YouTube algorithm standpoint, if you optimize too much for search, then search starts to this actually happened to me last year, and it's just now starting to turn around. Search actually becomes one of your like for me, I think it was like number 2 for a while in terms of discovery, and it messed up like all the discovery of my videos from the more like sort of viral, not necessarily,
But that's what
but
80% of users are. Okay, well, I don't want to get too deep into it, but that's what most users are doing when they go to YouTube. They're searching for. Do you know what I mean?
but but I can't. But you can't plan your channel around everybody. You have to
Yeah.
plan around your audience, or at least your avatar audience,
Well, yeah,
right?
and that's what I mean. If you want to be able to find new audience members, if there's somebody out there that's never heard of Painfully on a Stick, and they do a search for Z Fold 3 battery life, and yours pops up, and it's chapter marked there, now they found you, and then yes, they may watch that one clip, but that one clip may make them subscribe and then come back for more.
It also might make them come back for more and realize that like my other videos aren't like that. So I mean,
Well, yeah,
having been down this road with the iPhone XS video that went viral, like everybody expected me to be Louis Rossmann Part 2, and you know a lot of people got pissed. So like I'm trying to be really deliberate about how I make the videos and how I promote them,
yeah,
so that search is like number 3. I want search to be number 3 for me, and I only want search to be working for videos that I want to be evergreen.
yeah.
So, which is
I get it. I
different.
get it. No, you can target the videos that way.
My channel's different because I have both. Some
Yeah,
channels have only evergreen. Some channels have only, like Front Page Tech. It was all like topical.
yeah. And
So,
his videos don't last long. Yeah, and
right.
that's just the way he targets them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, you got a stream to do.
Yeah, no, I don't want to rush this or anything like that. But I'm starting in a half hour. If you guys want to come hang out with me, we're going to talk about the value of devices and apparent price leaks of the Pixel 6 and Pixel 6 Pro, which came up from Brandon from Front Page Tech. Sorry, Brandon. This is Tech Today. We're going to talk about that, but
What were the
also
prices? I didn't see it.
I have an article here that kind of sums it up, but basically 900 and 630 pounds, which translates to something like 1200.
1,800.
Yeah, about 800. But Brandon speculates that they're going to be closer to like what iPhone 13 and iPhone 13 Pro will be in terms of introductory devices. So, and that makes sense because it would put them on the same competing ground in terms of pricing. However, we're going to be discussing kind of the bigger conversation tonight, which is like how important is to you. Are you willing to pay a little bit more to have specific features? Oh, you're sharing my screen, and things like that. So yeah, the article that kind of sums things up is here from GSM Arena. It's a good one here, but I would definitely encourage you guys to go check out Brandon's video before you come hang out with me tonight, because I'll be referring to this a lot and everything tonight. But yeah, we're going to talk about that tonight.
Pricing is going to be critical for this because
Mm-hmm.
Google's already tried to like go head to head with Samsung and Apple,
Mm-hmm.
and even though this phone looks like much more of a premium phone than what they've done previously,
Well, they've
I
admitted
still
that it's going to be priced. They've already told us that it's going to. Yeah.
I still think they have to come in like $100 cheaper on both sides.
Well, it should be very okay. So here's the thing. Here's the history of Pixels. I'll go. I mean, I was going to mention this tonight during my thing, but here's the history of it. I believe that the pricing is going to come in on par with the iPhone 13, the iPhone 13 Pro, so Pro Max. So the regular 13 and the Pro Max. So the Pixel 6 Pro will be the same price as the Pro Max, and then iPhone 13 Pro Max, and the Pixel 6 will be the same price as the iPhone 13. That being said, Pixel has a history ever since the Pixel 1, Boxing Day, or not Boxing Day, excuse me, not Black Friday weekend, Black Friday week. They always heavily discount the Pixels then. So if history repeats itself, which I think they will, I would say this: if you're looking at one of the new Pixels, watch the reviews, everything that comes out in October. If the rumors are right, October 19th, release on the 29th. If the rumors are true, and then just hold tight just a couple more weeks to mid-November, see if they discount them, and then grab one if you're happy with the reviews and the long terms and this and that, right? That's my best advice to get your best pricing, because they probably will bring down those prices.
Yeah, so Mech 1164 says that the euro price looks to be 649, which, just give or take a little bit, is 800 US probably. So I mean that is iPhone 13. iPhone 13 Pro Max price $1,100 to start.
Yep.
I think they'd be better off at an iPhone 11 Pro price.
Even if they did $50 less, that still gives them an edge. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It really does. But you also have to consider, and again, this goes back to the bigger conversation, which is, how important is price to you, and because most people that are in that walled garden with Apple are not going to leave. There's not the percentage of people outside of the tech niche people that would swap back and forth is not very, it's very, very small.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think it's going to be interesting to see, because Google has found a market for the A series devices, right?
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't find a solid market for their flagship devices against the competition as it was, say, 2018.
Yeah.
Now, both Samsung and Apple have improved their phones significantly. So, if they go for price parity, and then people see, like, well, I can get an iPhone for that, I can get an S21 Ultra for that, I can get I can get whatever, and then if I really want the Pixel, I can get the 5A.
Yeah.
So it's going to be all about what is the value proposition of, especially that $1,000 plus phone, versus what you could get instead.
And it should be interesting to see how Pixel positions this, because, I mean, Pixels are known for having really great cameras. The photography, video has been good, but not always on the kind of the same level. So then you say to yourself, well, what's more important to me, video or photography? Well, if photography is more important to you than video, then I would say grab the 5A based on what we know now. Right?
Yeah.
How different is a 5A photo going to be to a 6 Pro? I really look forward to seeing what the camera changes are. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't think it's going to be much. I think the big differentiator is going to be in the video and other things underneath that with the tensor chip that can do and everything like that, right? So
if the video on these higher end phones is not significantly better than what it's been in the past, then
it's dead in the water.
Yeah, then they're in trouble.
They will be, and people will be saying, "Don't waste your money, go for the 5A." So they either need to demonstrate that well, or if it needs to be very obvious when people are comparing, because that's going to happen.
Or if you really care about video, I mean, the iPhone, the Pros, every single iPhone has cinematic mode.
Every single, from the Mini all the way to the Pro. Yep, it's a software.
So every 13 has cinematic mode. So it's like, okay, you could get a 5A and get much worse video.
Yeah.
Or you could spend an extra couple $100 and get the Mini and get cinematic mode. And I don't think anybody will argue that iPhones have ruled the video world in terms of smartphone video for quite some time. And unless Google is able to get these higher end Pixels up to the level of, I mean, even just the higher end Android phones.
Yeah.
Right. I don't think they're going to get to iPhone level. Maybe they'll surprise us. I don't know.
I mean the Google Nexus, the Nexus Twitter did wake up on iPhone Day saying, "I'd wait for Pixel 6." So I think they're just having fun, but should be interesting. Hey, it's been a good night, Jason.
It has. Thank you, everyone who's been here. We've had many people. Still have more than 100 by one. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. And yeah, Zach, thanks for being here. Tried to get to as many questions as we could. Good conversation. Once again, my name's Jason. This has been Painfully Honest Tech live with Zach Talks Tech and myself, Jason T. Lewis. Until the next time.